Yeah, right. Yep.
Ahmad bin Makadam. This is Mark chapter 12 and verse 29. YHWH answered, the first of all commandments is, Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is the Lord. Shema YASHARAHLA, YAHWH, AHLAHAYANAWA, YHWH, ACHAAD.
Real quick, is the door downstairs open? Yo, who's Luis Diaz? Oh, I know that. This is talking about. I know. Why didn't he just change his name?
A lot of brothers don't realize to do that.
Shalom, everybody. How's everybody doing? So I can see, we had to take a different route. I may be coming up with a series. I'm not sure yet. I've been looking into some things, but I took a different route from what I've been teaching, past few or couple classes. As you can see, the title is the split between the northern and the southern kingdom, or when they became a northern and southern kingdom. It's 13 people on.
Have to put the main link inside the room chat.
Yeah. I'm gonna wait for a few more people to get in. Give a couple of minutes, that's it. Been waiting a minute. Yo. So, there's a lot that's been going on within Israel, right? Within Israel. And it stems from, we're going to go into the root of the matter. It's been tribalism, it's been colorism, brothers, light-skinned brothers be getting offended, or have some, internal turmoil against brothers who are tall, dark, and handsome, right? And vice versa, dark-skinned brothers, have some inside turmoil to light-skinned brothers and how they get attention and things of that nature. And it's even worse when it comes to sisters, right? And the odd thing, when you really like take a step out of all the smoke, is the odd thing and the beautiful thing is that people really don't realize is when you're in it is an issue. But if you take a step back and you understand that every single tribe has a beautiful spectrum of light and dark skin. Every single tribe. I've met Cubans, I've met Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Hondurans, you name it, Venezuelans, like Haitians, Jamaicans, that was on either side of the spectrum, right? And we tend to kind of stereotype, the northern tribe with this light skin, um, straight hair, you know, and all these things that we've been making up and have allowed to come between us is all stems from a bigger issue, you know, and this whole straight hair, nappy hair, coiled hair thing, like I said, on either side, the north and the south, all tribes, there's Ephraimites who have crazy nappy hair, and there's Judites and Levites and Benjamites who have straight hair.
Huh.
So all these things that plague our people, from colorism to even tribalism, oh, my tribe's better because I'm the king tribe, or I have the firstborn blessing, or I come from the tribe of priests, or your tribe is just workers. And come on, man, you know what I'm saying? You're first of all, you're blessed that you come from the nation of Israel in the first place.
Exactly.
You could have woke up and been a Edomite. You could have woke up and been a Moabite. You could have woke up and been an Ammonite. Like, you could have woke up and been a Gentile, a heathenistic Gentile in which the Lord, he counts for spittle. He counts for nothing, and these things really, really come between our people. I remember my mother-in-law still, it's cringy as close as we are. She be still talking, saying, oh, this person got the good hair. What do you mean? What is the good hair? What is the good hair? Right? That comes with generational misrepresentation of what's good and what's bad, from our oppressors.
Sounds
right?
Very slave-like.
It is slave-like because when you go into the Hutu and the Tutsi, I believe, from Hotel Rwanda, they were going off of, I believe it's the noses, if I'm not mistaken, and that's what caused the difference between the two tribes, when really there was no difference. They used that as a way to divide those people, and then they caused mass slaughter on, I believe it was, I forgot which tribe it was, but they caused mass slaughter on them, and a lot of it sometimes too comes from the insecurity within yourself. If you're not, looking right, going to the gym, taking care of yourself, looking clean, know how to take care of yourself, brothers, get in their lineups, get in there, what I'm saying, make sure your hair is good, making sure you're healthy internally, externally, you're looking right, your teeth is clean, what I'm saying, then you start projecting how you feel on other people. Right. And so you start projecting how you feel about yourself on other people and saying, oh, this is the reason why they like this. And this is all that self-hate that you have. It starts projecting even on your own people. And it doesn't get any better when we come into the understanding. You would think that when you understand the truth, right, and the more understanding you have, it will get better. But, the truth of the matter is some of us, we do mature and we do get past those feelings that we have of other people. You have people in the understanding right now who used to beef with other tribes. There's sisters who grew up fighting, Ephraimite sisters who grew up fighting Judites their whole life, and vice versa. So they may have a little bit of bitterness to them, even when they realize, yo, this is your family, this is your nation. So that stems from somewhere. Where does that come from? Right? And the fact that we're the two sticks brought together, right? And the fact that we're the end sign that we have, right, which is the 12 tribe sign. A lot of people don't understand how that's really a miracle that we're able to come together when we were split for centuries, right? And have allowed so much things to come between us to separate us and for us to look at each other differently. All these little things. Oh, he got the good hair. She got the this light skin. This is all these things that's come between us. when we understood prior to that that we were just a nation of one people, right? So like, once we get into this, hopefully we can understand and we'll make some connections, right? Because this is a historical lesson, but I'm right now I'm modernizing it, right? Because a lot of people who come into gangs, they don't realize how gangs were created in the first place to protect the community, right? So they're born into something, right? In LA, when they're born into something, it gets watered down. And then now you have, you know, uh, uh, you know, all these rivalries stem from the murders. Oh, they took this person, they took that person. Rest in peace to this person. Now it's a perpetual cycle of retaliation because you're losing loved ones to you, and the origin of why something happened in the first place gets convoluted and washed away, right? So all these things that we have allowed to come between us and stay between us, right? There's a root in the matter, right? And so we're gonna get, I want us to be thinking about this as we're going into the split, because a lot of times the psyche of the split of us gets lost throughout time, because this didn't just happen in one time. It transpired, right? Through time, through the dark ages, even through the Americas in this time. You had, I'm putting the cart before the horse, but you had, a lot of people don't know, you had Native American tribes that was enslaving Judites and enslaving each other. But then you also, on the flip side, had us that was working together. Those things aren't talked about or brought out. You had internal rivalry. You had internal civil wars and slaveries between the tribes, and that caused a hatred. Look at Haiti and Dominican Republic. Once Haiti freed the whole island, right, liberated the whole island of Hispaniola, we put Simeon to work, almost under basically a slavery. Then when they got their liberation, what did they do? They despised Levites. And then now it's an internal beef. Two prominent people, two prominent tribes on the same island do not get along. That's crazy. And now that the power's turned over to the Dominican Republic side, they're not doing anything to aid Haiti. In fact, they're pushing them away from the border. They're doing border control on Haitians. Where does this hatred come from? Even though that's its kind of own separate, little thing because of what Simeon and Levi did. But the point is, there's an internal beef that we need to stir away from. Cannot be coming into the understanding and be called from the Lord, right? From the world into the understanding. And we're still having these same tendencies. We still have this same mindset to look at, oh, hey, shalom, sis, or hey, shalom, brothers. When you come to holy days and we'll come into the Passover, but inwardly you're like, this sister, oh, look at this brother, thinking that this brother or this sister don't think nothing because they're this or that. They're just happy to see you, happy to be around brothers and sisters. But you, because you've allowed these things to seep into your mind and you believe them, it's causing some friction. You got to learn to let these things go and understand where the origin of it is. It's in the scriptures, right? So let's get into it. So please keep that in mind as we go into this lesson. All right, let's get Acts 13 and 17. What's that right there?
This is Acts chapter 13 and verse 17.
Uh-huh.
The God of this people of Israel chose our fathers and exalted the people when they dwelt as strangers in the land of Egypt and within the high arm
Right. So who did he choose? He chose Israel, right? Go ahead.
brought he them out of it.
Right. He chose when we was in captivity in Egypt. He chose to bring us out of captivity. Go ahead.
And about that time of 40 years suffered he their manners in the wilderness.
And about that time, right, when who was leading us at that time? Moses, right? We suffered in the wilderness. Go ahead.
And when he had destroyed 7 nations in the land of Canaan, he divided their land to them by lot. And after that, he gave unto them judges about the space of 450 years.
Hold on real fast. Let's take a pause. This is literally talking about the book of Judges. In that tiny span, right? In this tiny book that we have, the book of Judges, right? In this tiny book is the span of how many years? It only has 21 chapters in it. Is how many years?
And after that, he gave them judges about the space of 450 years.
So after the wilderness, right? After the wilderness, boom, we had a time of judges that spanned for 450 years. Okay? Just just walk with me. I don't like saying that, but just follow me. Okay? 450 years. Go ahead.
Until Samuel the prophet.
Until who?
Until Samuel the prophet.
So we was in the wilderness with Moses. Then there was the time of the judges for 450 years until Samuel the prophet. Go ahead.
And afterward they desired a king, and God gave unto them
So
Saul.
we were murmuring for a king, right? And the first king that we had is
And God
officially, right? I say you have to say officially because in the scriptures also tells you that Moses was. But anyways, so Saul, right, was the official king. Go ahead.
And God gave unto them Saul the son of Cis, a man of the tribe of Benjamin, by the space of 40 years.
Okay.
And when he had removed him,
go ahead.
He raised up unto them David.
He raised up unto him who?
Unto them David to be their king, to whom he also gave testimony and said, I have found David, the son of Jesse, a man after mine own heart, which shall fulfill all of my will.
That's twofold. Right. Let's get Sirach 47:1. Let's go to Sirach 47:1 because now he says he removed Saul, which was of son of Cis, Benjamite, and he anointed and raised up David. Okay.
This is Sirach chapter 47 and verse 1. And after him rose up Nathan to prophesy in the time of David.
So we understand how mighty King David was, right? But it's gonna give you, elaborate a little bit more on that. Go ahead.
As is the fat taken away from the peace offering, so is David chosen out of the children of Israel.
Now, the interesting thing about David, right, is he exemplifies the both sides of the Most High. And what I mean by the both sides of the Most High is David was absolutely nothing to play with. He was fierce, he was austere, he was a mighty man, but he was also compassionate. He was also merciful. So he had a beautiful balance between being fierce and austere, right? And mighty, right? And compassionate, merciful, humble, faithful, right? So that's also showing you the different sides of the Most High, right? A man after his own heart. He's not just one way, right? He's talking about the duality of the Lord in one man. Okay, go ahead.
Verse 3, he played with lions as with kids.
Now, I just, real quick, Apaya, these weren't just regular lions, right, that you see today, right? I don't know if brothers and sisters are familiar with Barbary lions, which went extinct. Can you play that real fast, real quick?
Oh, is that the lion with the black underneath?
With the
Damn, man.
these were different lions. You can't play that.
Majestic.
Wavy D. Come on. If you can
He didn't.
play that.
You gotta put on the big screen.
Can you put it on the big screen, Apayak?
Why did we wipe out the Barbary lions? The African Barbary lions used to thrive in the Atlas Mountains of around 1,500 miles. They are known for their distinctive dark manes and are bigger and more jacked than the African lions. They were captured and gifted to royal families due to their proud and majestic look. During the Roman Empire, the Barbary lions were pitted against gladiators in the Colosseum. They killed thousands of lions during this era. In fact, at one point during the reign of Pompey the Great, 500 lions were killed in just 5 days. Moreover, when the European colonialist arrived around 19th century, the Barbary lions were eradicated and their territorial range were squeezed. The population went so low that around 1920s, scientists thought they went extinct. This sad photo is the last remembrance of a wild Barbary lion. Why did we wipe out the Barbary lions? The African
Play the other one. Play the other one that I sent you. Look at how massive this lion looks. And look at their mane, how it stretches all the way down. They were that size and much bigger as well. Majestic, huge, right? Way bigger than the lions that you see today. So I just wanted you to see that real quick. Yeah, like, come on. So I just wanted y'all to see that. As Barak is in verse 3, it says he played with lions as with kids. You know, so like you're looking at a man that was mighty, you know, played with lions as with kids. Think about what type of man that is, right? Go ahead.
Come. Verse 3, he played with lions as with kids, and with bears as with lambs.
And come on, bears, yeah, which is way bigger than a lion. As with lambs,
Yeah,
that's a different man, right? It's a different caliber of man. Go ahead.
Slew he not a giant, and when he was yet but young? And did he not take away reproach from the people when he lifted up his hand with the stone in the sling and beat down the boasting of Goliath? For he called upon the Most High Lord, and he gave him strength in his right hand to slay that mighty warrior, and he set up the horn of his people.
So you got to think about it, right? A kid. I was talking with a brother about this the other day, who was a shepherd, who was used to playing with lions, Barbary lions at that, as kids, and bears to protect, as he was protecting the lamb and the sheep. Like, he's coming into this battle with Goliath on a whole different playing field and a whole different mindset. He already knew who gave him the strength to deal with the lion and the bear.
Right.
Those animals are way bigger than him. So it's no different for him to face a Goliath. He already knows who he has to call upon. And in Maccabees, what did he say? He says strength comes from where?
From heaven.
From heaven. David Ben knew that. Because if he didn't know that, then why he called to the Most High? You see the connection? He knew that already. right? So after Saul, right, David was anointed king. Let's get 2 Samuel 5. I'm gonna start off at 6, but I got some dates, but I usually like to say circa or around the time of, because history, when you look into different scholars, you know, they say different things. So I put in my notes, around about 1000 BC, King David made Jerusalem the capital of the kingdom of Israel after conquering the Jebusites, right? So, which we're gonna read. Let me get there real fast. I don't know. Go ahead.
2 Samuel chapter 5 and verse 1.
You can start at 4, verse 4.
Verse 4. David was 30 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 40 years. In Hebron, he reigned over Judah 7 years and 6 months.
So this is after King Saul. Go ahead.
And in Jerusalem, he reigned 30 years over all Israel and Judah. And the king and his men went up to Jerusalem unto the Jebusites.
Where'd they go? Up to Jerusalem. Go ahead.
The inhabitants of the land.
Unto the Jebusites, which were who? The inhabitants of the land. Go ahead.
Which spake unto David, saying, except thou take away the blind and the lame, thou shalt not come in hither, thinking David cannot come in hither.
So what are they telling David? Let me get some answers online. What are they telling David? What we just read, verse 6. What are the Jebusites telling David? Yo, Geometry Dash Pro is funny as hell.
Oh, man.
What are they saying? What are the Jebusites saying to David? I just want people to, this lesson is basically fundamentals to help you understand the captivities that we're going into, the dark ages, a bunch of things. Kawan, I see you going in, Kawan. No, you know what I'm saying? That's what's up. It's my brother right there. But can anybody, I don't got no answers yet. Can anybody tell me what the Jebusites are telling David at this moment as he's going up into Jerusalem, which the Jebusites are inhabiting? And I do suggest that brothers and sisters take notes.
We did go into this, so
read 6 again.
Verse 6. And the king and his men went to Jerusalem unto the Jebusites, the inhabitants of the land, which spake unto David, saying, except thou take away the blind and the lame, thou shalt not come in hither, thinking David cannot come in hither.
See? Okay, I see you, Bakwash. Do we have some other answers? Okay, I'm just going to continue. Keep going.
Verse 7, nevertheless.
But they're basically saying, don't come in here. Go ahead.
Nevertheless, David took the stronghold of Zion.
Right. David took the stronghold of Zion. What does that mean? He kicked them out. Go ahead.
The same as the city of David. And David said on that day, whosoever getteth up to the gutter and smiteth the Jebusites and the lame and the blind that are hated of David's soul, he shall be chief and captain. Wherefore they said, the blind and the lame shall not come into the house.
Right.
So David dwelt in the fort and called it the city of David. And David built round about from Milo and inward.
And David went on and grew great, and the Lord God of hosts was with him. And the Hiram, king of Tyre, sent messengers to David, and cedar trees, and carpenters, and masons, and they built David an house. And David perceived that the Lord had established him king over Israel, and that he had exalted his kingdom for his people Israel's sake.
There you go. Right? So let's get 1 Kings 3 and 14.
First Kings chapter 3 and verse 14. And if thou wilt walk in my ways to keep my statutes and my commandments.
So who is he talking to right now? Let's start from verse 1 real fast and jump down.
You said verse 4?
Verse 1, Salakia.
Oh, verse 1. Solomon made affinity with Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and took Pharaoh's daughter and brought her into the city of David until he had made an ending of building his own house.
So that's political, right? They do political ties with one another in order to make affiliations with one another or agreements with one another to show that there's peace, right? Kings would take on the daughters of other kings so that way there's an alliance between them. Okay, so that's what Solomon's doing here with Egypt. Go ahead.
Khan, until he had made an end of building his own house and the house of the Lord and the wall of Jerusalem round about. Only the people sacrificed to high places because there was no house built unto the name of the Lord until those days. And Solomon loved the Lord, walking in the statutes of David his father. Only he sacrificed and burnt incense in high places.
You could jump down to 14 now.
Verse 14. And if thou wilt walk in my ways to keep my statutes and my commandments as thy father David did walk, then will I lengthen thy days. And Solomon awoke, and behold, it was a dream. And he came to Jerusalem and stood before the ark of the covenant of the Lord, and offered up burnt offerings and offered peace offerings, and made a feast to all his servants.
Right, so let's get 1 Kings 9 and 1.
Okay.
Chapter 9, verse 1. So the Lord was always telling Solomon, if you walk after the ways of your father, he said, then I'm going to bless you. I'm going to take care of you. Right? And it says in those days, the temple of the Lord wasn't yet built. Okay.
This is 1 Kings chapter 9 and verse 1. And it came to pass when Solomon had finished the building of the house of the Lord.
And so this the date, right? When I researched, I said Solomon finished building the temple in circa the year 957 BC. So circa just means in or around.
And the king's house and all Solomon's desire, which he was pleased to do. That the Lord appeared to Solomon the second time as he had appeared unto him at Gibeon. And the Lord said unto him, I have heard thy prayer and thy supplication that thou hast made before me. I have hallowed this house which thou hast built to put my name there forever.
Real quick, why couldn't King David build the Lord a house or a temple? That's the question to those online. Why couldn't King Solomon build a temple to the Lord? Somebody open the door for Zavon?
What happened? Oh, I didn't leave it down there. It was green. It was green when I came up.
David, why couldn't David build a temple to the Most High, Yeshua? We know that Solomon built the temple. He finished it. I just got that he got what year he finished building the temple in, circa, in or around. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I have it here.
He's an extension of the Lord's. It's like the Lord's battle axe. On earth. Yep. He's a bloody man. Blood on his hands. Con. You can continue.
Verse 4. Oh, wait, no, verse 3. And the Lord said unto him, I have heard thy prayer and thy supplication that thou hast made before me. I have hallowed his house which thou hast built to put my name there forever. And mine eyes and mine heart shall be there perpetually.
So hold on. This is very important because people may say, well, why do we face the east? Read that one more time.
I have hallowed this house which thou hast built.
I have hallowed this. I have made this house holy. Go ahead.
To put my name there forever.
To put what?
To put my name there forever.
So the Lord's name's there forever. Go ahead.
And mine eyes and mine heart shall be there perpetually.
His eyes and his heart shall be there perpetually. Right? So we face the east towards the temple. Right? Because the Lord's eyes and heart is there and his perpetually. He has hallowed that place. Right? But of course, go ahead.
And if thou will walk before me as David thy father walked.
If thou will walk. Why you keep saying that? If thou will walk before me like David thy father. Go ahead.
In integrity of heart and in uprightness, to do according to all that I have commanded thee, and will keep my statutes and my judgments, then I will establish the throne of thy kingdom upon Israel forever, as I promised to David thy father, saying, there shall not fail thee a man upon the throne of Israel. But if he shall at all turn from following me, ye or your children.
Ye or your what?
Ye or your children. Ye or your children, and will not keep my commandments and my statutes which I have set before you, but go and serve other gods and worship them, then will I cut off Israel out of the land which I have given them, and this house which I have hallowed for my name, and will I cast out of my sight, and Israel shall be a proverb and a byword among all people. At this house which is high, everyone that passeth by it shall be astonished and shall hiss, and they shall say, why hath the Lord done thus unto this land and to this house?
Right. So he's given Solomon a warning, an ultimatum. Look, if you do this, if you walk right by me, you're going to be established forever. But if you don't, I'm going to cut off Israel forever. Right? Not forever, but I'm going to cut off Israel. Salakia.
Verse 9. And they shall answer, because they forsook the Lord their God.
Because they what?
Because they forsook the Lord their God, who brought forth their fathers out of the land of Egypt, and have taken hold upon other gods, and have worshipped them and served them. Therefore hath the Lord brought upon them all this evil. So,
and it's crazy because he gave us the same ultimatum in where? Deuteronomy. The same thing. So look, if you guys hearken unto me, I got you. I'm going to establish you forever. Look at all the blessings. Right? And then some. But he says, look it, if you guys choose to dishonor me and not listen, all these curses, and look at which our people are still dealing with today, to this day, every day. Right? You have certain diseases and illnesses that are incurable. Right? That are curable but incurable. It's the Lord's doing. The Lord said certain things is going to happen. And when the Lord says it, there's nothing you can do about it. I don't care if you're Dr. Sabi. I don't care if you're Yaki or Master Healer, whatever. If the Lord puts something on you and he intends for it to be a sign to show us how stubborn and hard-headed we can be, it's not getting removed. It's not getting removed. But then you have some fortunate situations where you're okay, you know. Because both, believe it or not, it glorifies the Lord. And what I mean by people will be like, well, how can somebody's sickness glorify the Lord? Because of what he says, it don't return back to him void. That's how it glorifies the Lord. That means you know he's real. But then on the flip side is if you do get healed from a certain sickness that he says that is going to plague our people in these days, it still glorifies the Lord. So it doesn't matter. both sides glorify the Most High. That's crazy, right? All right. So I'll say it again. The dates, I'll put them out there before we continue. In about 1000 BC, King David made Jerusalem the capital of Israel after conquering the Jebusites or removing the Jebusites. And then in 957 BC, around that time, circa, Solomon finished building the temple and dedicated it to the Most High. Let's go 1 Kings 11 and 1.
This is 1 Kings chapter 11 and verse 1. But King Solomon loved many strange women.
What does it mean by strange women in this context?
Non-Israelite women, women that worship different gods.
God. Yes, sir. As Aquan said it. Yep. Non-Israelite women that worship different gods. Go ahead.
But King Solomon loved many strange women, together with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Zidonians, and Hittites, of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, you shall not go into them.
Read that again.
You shall not go into them.
First start from verse 2.
Verse 2. Of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, you shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you.
Why did the Most High say that we shouldn't go into the other nations? Why did he say that? Go ahead.
Well, I know particularly with Solomon that to stay away from those other nations because you end up worshiping their gods.
Right. It's just like, look, let's make it more modern, right? It's because you're right. But what typically happens, it happens to men that's in the truth, but let's pick on the brothers that are outside of the truth, right? You see a brother with a Moabite woman, see a brother with an Ammonite woman, you can see a brother with an Edomite woman, any other nation, what do they tend to do? What do they tend to start doing? Exactly. What do they start to do?
Hate their own.
Right. Okay. Yep. Want to save other nations. That's one. So repeat the question.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're picking on worldly brothers, but like when they start wifing or other nations, what do they start like? What do they tend to do?
Curing their interest towards the nations.
Right. I know brothers like that's in the world who have a Moabite wife, Edomite wife, and they literally start adopting their traditions as their own. Start putting shrines up with the candlesticks and Cambodian women, because they claim to be exotic to certain brothers. They literally start taking their own traditions. Even Israelite brothers, right? They'll start having dinner on Thanksgiving and say, hey, man, I'm not celebrating Thanksgiving, but you're having a whole dinner on Thanksgiving? Why don't you have a dinner on Sunday, like 2 weeks from now? The day. Why it gotta be on this day? Right? We'll say, we're not putting up the trees. We're not putting up we're not hanging up the socks, the little socks, we're not singing those songs, but they're exchanging gifts. Come Christmas. When we're supposed to be putting these things completely out. We're not supposed to be going into their traditions at all. You have a whole heritage, a culture, and a custom. as Solomon's heart began to be turned, especially in his older age. Right. Friendsgiving, right. Right. Come on. Right. So that's what starts to happen. Then brothers start, dang, brother, what happened? You used to be yo, I'm doing they start eating their foods, and they start going the brothers start following the Chinese New Year. Some brothers even go as far as start learning the language. And you know what happened when Nehemiah was tight? He was upset when what? You speaking what? Right. Keeping it the day after. So that's why, like, he told you to stay away from women, because too, a woman could be what? Alluring. It tells you in Second Esdras how, the femininity and how women can persuade a man to do a bunch of things or let his guard down. Next thing you know, she's putting up decorations in your house, and you're like, you know what? It don't even look that bad. To put it in bamboo, plants and stuff like that. Sneaking a little Buddha here, saying it's look, it just goes. It adds a little feng shui. You going with the feng shui feel, knowing that you should get that damn idol out your house. And that's how they be sneaking things in. Then they start saying little things like, I think that we should meditate and think about the things and be grateful for things, and right in front of the shrine. Then you start going with it.
That's not it.
Now before you know it, you full blown worshiping Buddha. There's little things, man. Right? That's how it happens. The Lord knows that. That's why he forewarned Solomon. Right? Go ahead.
Verse 2. Of the nations concerning which the Lord said unto the children of Israel, you shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you. For surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon clave unto these in love. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart.
And even with that, it tells you, and I know it's in the Apocrypha, but because how Solomon was, how handsome he was, and how he kept himself, the women were throwing themselves to him, trying to be engaged to him, still with all those wives and concubines. Just want to add that in there. Go ahead.
And it came to pass when Solomon was old that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, as was the heart of David his father. For Solomon went after Ashtaroth, the goddess of the Zidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. And Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord, and went not fully after the Lord, as did David his father. Then did Solomon build an high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, and the hill that is before Jerusalem, and from Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon. And likewise did he for all his strange wives, which burnt incense and sacrificed unto their gods. And the Lord was angry with Solomon, because his heart was turned away from the Lord God of Israel, which had appeared unto him twice.
Right? He speak once, yet twice, yet man perceiveth it not. Go ahead.
And I commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other gods, but he kept not that which the Lord commanded.
It says, if you go back to verse 2, it says, ye shall not go into them, neither shall they come in unto you, for surely they will turn away your heart after their gods. Solomon, right here, clave unto these in love. Right? It was a burning desire. Once he started messing with these strange women, that he started praising and worshiping and setting up places of worship for their gods. Go ahead.
Wherefore the Lord said unto Solomon, For as much as this is done of thee, thou hast not kept my covenant and my statutes which I have commanded thee, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee, and will give it to thy servant. Notwithstanding, in thy days I will not do it for David thy father's sake, but I will rend it out of the hand of thy son. Howbeit, I will not rend away all the kingdom, but will give one tribe to thy son for David my servant's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, which I have chosen.
So let's see if people are paying attention. Did the Most High take the kingdom away from Solomon? Let's see what the answers are in the chat. That's important to know, because I remember when I used to work some years ago. I was arguing with this Benjamite or debating with him, and I had to go to this verse right here and show him and show the brother like that the Most High didn't take the kingdom away from Solomon. He was the cause of the split, but it wasn't him that got the kingdom rent from him. It was his son. All right. We're gonna go to the Josephus real briefly. Josephus. I tend not to go into the Josephus like that, but for this sake, we're gonna get a couple of things out of here for this lesson. The Josephus, we're gonna go to page 269. Just the highlighted parts. Start from here, right?
Yep.
And then go to 270, and then go right there. Boom.
This is Josephus. This is page 269. Says the king himself rode upon a chariot in the midst of these men.
So this is going to how royal and how decked out Solomon was and his presence before the people. Go ahead.
Who were still in armor and had their bows fitted to them. He had on a white garment and used his progress out of the city in the morning. There was a certain place about 50 furlongs distant from Jerusalem, which is called Etham. Very pleasant it is, and fine gardens and abounding in rivulets of water. Thither did he used to go out in the morning, sitting on high in his chariot. Now Solomon had a divine sagacity in all things and was very diligent and studious.
What that means is he was abundant. He had wisdom in abundance. Sagacity is a divine wisdom. If you look it up, which means basically his wisdom came from the Most High. Go ahead.
It was very diligent and studious to have things done after an elegant manner.
That's another thing that I want to highlight. When you look in Wisdom of Solomon, the wise thing that Solomon understood is he understood that wisdom wasn't something that he can go and attain. He knew that it was something that had to be given to him from the Lord. Right? So that it within itself is wisdom. You know what I'm saying? Because it says that he says it was wisdom. I believe it's Wisdom of Solomon 8 for him to understand whose gift she was. Right? And so not only that, but then it also tells you, I believe in Wisdom of Solomon 7, that he understood the reasonings of men. So he was a master of psychology. He was a master of meteorology and the weather. He understood the way the world works, right, and nature. He was also a master of the fury of beasts. When you look at the fury of beasts, which is martial arts and where those things come from, so it says he was extremely studious, which means he was constantly learning, and when it comes to anything that has to do with success, anything that has to do with self-development, it tells you to do what? It tells you the more knowledge you the more you are knowledgeable on something and the more you continue to develop yourself, the more successful you'll be at that thing. So Solomon, in his reign and his quest for wisdom, he was extremely studious. And the Lord doesn't just wave a wand and just, just gives you wisdom. Through his leisure, you've seen that this is something that he craved. So the Lord increased them in the manner. So I just want people to understand that. Y'all understand that?
Says now Solomon had divine sagacity in all things and was very diligent and studious to have things done after an elegant manner. So he did not neglect the care of the ways, but he laid a causeway of black stone along the roads that led to Jerusalem, which was the royal city, both to render them easy for travelers and to manifest the grandeur of his riches and government. He also parted his chariots and set them in the regular order, that a certain number of them should be in every city, still keeping a few about him, and those cities which he called the cities of his chariots. Says, but although Solomon was become the most glorious of kings and the best beloved by God, and had exceeded in wisdom and riches, those that had been rulers of the Hebrews before him, yet he did not preserve in his happy state till he died. Nay, he forsook the observation of the laws of his father, and came to an end no way suitable to our foregoing history of him. He grew mad in his love of women.
He grew what?
He grew mad in his love for women.
What does mad mean? What does mad mean?
Uncontrollable.
Not able to be restrained, man.
Right. So that's the irony. The irony is that look at this man. He's so organized. He takes care of himself, the kingdom, the way he ordered things. Wise. This says there was nothing that Solomon did not know. That's what it says in scriptures. But yet he had this shortcoming inside of him, which was he grew mad. He had an insatiable appetite for women that he couldn't control. Right? Go ahead. I want to highlight that.
He grew mad in his love for women and laid no restraint on himself in his lust.
See, and laid no what?
And laid no restraint on himself in his lust.
So it's the funny thing is, it's not funny, but you know what I mean by that, is here you have it, this king, right? It's safe to say he was obsessed with wisdom, right? The Lord blessed him with this understanding. And then his own insatiable appetite, right, allowed him to see the dark side of the blessing that he asked for on the right hand side. Right.
He did ask for wisdom.
Right.
All of wisdom. And he learned, some of the righteousness of it. And then in order to know all wisdom, you have to know the negative parts or aspects of it.
Right. And the funny thing is, all things are written aforetime for what? For our learning. But this is the thing. We, as men, we still get curious.
Right.
We get curious about, dang, how much, how I feel like to have 100 wives, 70 wives. How I feel like to have the riches of the world. How I feel like to be this successful. How I feel like, all things, right, are written aforetime for your learning. He's telling you in Ecclesiastes. He said, I seen everything there is to see on the planet.
Because he was marrying into their customs.
Right.
If you really look at it too as well.
I seen the best of everything. But guess what? I'm letting you know who's coming after me. It's not worth it. The whole conclusion of the matter is to fear the Lord. That's it. And keep his commandments. But him knowing everything, we don't be thinking about that. We still be burning in our lust and our desires. We don't be thinking like,
what did he have? He said,
what didn't he have? He had everything before his fingertips.
Damn.
And he's telling you, he listen, he
Not
already
worth it.
understands what you're dealing with too.
Damn, all of that. Damn.
He's saying, yo, don't worry about it. Don't sweat it. Look, fear the Lord and keep his commandments. That's something to think about.
Continuing, it says, he grew mad in his love of women and laid no restraint on himself in his lust, nor was he satisfied with the women of his country alone. But he
Nor will he what?
Nor was he satisfied with the women of his country alone.
He got 12 different tribes to choose from, but he still wasn't satisfied with the women of his own country. The most beautifulest woman on the planet, the 12 tribes of Israel. But yet you want to go out. Go ahead.
Says, but he married many wives of foreign nations, Zidonians and Tyrians, and Ammonites and Edomites, and he transgressed the laws of Moses, which forbade Jews to marry any but those that were of their own people. He also began to worship their gods, which he did in order to the gratification of his wives and out of his affection for them. This very thing our legislators suspected, and so admonished us beforehand, so that we should not marry women of other countries, lest we should be entangled with foreign customs and apostatize from our own, lest we should leave off to honor our own God and should worship their gods. But Solomon was fallen headlong into unreasonable pleasures and regarded not those admonitions, for when he had married 700 wives, the daughters of princes and of eminent persons, and 300 concubines, and these besides the king of Egypt's daughter, he soon was governed by them till he came to imitate their practices.
Soon was governed by them. This is the man had rulership, was kings and queens was coming all over to hear him speak. He was giving them wisdom on how to rule their kingdoms. But then he got to a place where he was governed by these women and did things to gratify them and their gods. Can you think about, like, that's crazy. From a wise king became foolish. And it even tells you in Ecclesiastes, he stopped taking counsel. He stopped taking advisement from his noblemen. Right? Because any person that's wise knows that it's good to have what around you? Counselors.
Multitude of safety.
Right? And in the business world, they say surround yourself with people who are smarter than you. A wise person knows that it's good to have people that's wise like you or even wiser than you. It only makes you smarter. Right? He stopped listening to them. Let's get verse 26 of the same chapter. Chapter 11, Slakia.
First Kings chapter 11 and verse 26.
Mm-hmm.
And Jeroboam the son of Nebat, an Ephrathite of Zereda.
So now, boom, Solomon sinned. The Lord told him what's going to happen. And he says, I'm going to rend the kingdom and give it to your servant. Forgot about that part. So I'm just reminding us. We're going to see who the servant of Solomon was and who the kingdom is given to. Right? Go ahead. It's going to be given to. Slakia. Go ahead.
And Jeroboam the son of Nebat, an Ephrathite of Zereda, Solomon's servant.
There you go. Solomon's servant. Go ahead.
Whose mother's name was Zeruiah, a widow woman, even he lifted up his hand against the king. And this was the cause that he lifted up his hand against the king. Solomon built Millo and repaired the breaches of the city of David his father. And the man Jeroboam was a mighty man of valor. And Solomon, seeing the young man that he was industrious.
He was what?
Seeing the young man that he was industrious.
If you look at the tribe of Ephraim, they are a very industrious people. Northern tribe, you see Mexican restaurants everywhere. You see Ephraimite restaurants everywhere, Simeonite restaurants everywhere. They're very industrious, right? They know how to get to the money, right? They know about business. You know, I remember what? Oh my, yo, the tribe of Issachar is like it's insane how like they work. Like I remember talking to the foreman and the business owner of his roofing company, and he was telling me, I don't know if anybody done roofing before. You know, it's not an easy thing to do, but it's not. They get 4 to 5 roofs done a day.
I believe it. They did my roof.
If you,
Oh yeah, you told us.
It was an experience.
yo,
You told us.
The wildest thing I've ever seen in my life.
it is, yo. You gotta see it to believe. I swear, yo. Like the way they work is crazy, man.
It's a car they don't take breaks.
What?
They do not take
The
breaks.
shingles are heavy.
It was wild.
I'm telling you, yo.
It was a movie.
Yes. It is.
Look,
And
Paul,
their
what
flow,
happened?
yo.
They got their own. I watched them cut down trees.
So they yeah, Con go on. One roof is crazy. So imagine 4 to 5.
Yeah. They get busy.
He is
Like-
tired, man.
Yo, come on. Like, so they're very industrious people. They know how to get to the money and make things happen. Which we're gonna talk more about in chapter 12. But industrious because he's a man of valor, he's industrious. So Solomon's seen the opportunity and how he can utilize him to further the kingdom, right? Right? Go ahead. They'll put him in a position to make the kingdom better, run smoother. Go ahead.
And Jeroboam the son of Nebat, an Ephrathite of Zereda, Solomon's servant, whose mother's name was Zeruiah, a widow woman, even he lifted up his hand against the king. So this was the cause that lifted up his hand against the king. Solomon built Millo and repaired the breaches of the city of David his father. And the man Jeroboam was a mighty man of valor. And Solomon, seeing the young man that he was industrious, he made him ruler over all the charge of the house of Joseph. And it came to pass at that time when Jeroboam went out of Jerusalem that the prophet Ahijah the Shilonite found him in the way, and he had clad himself with the new garment. And they too were alone in the field. And Ahijah caught the new garment that was on him and rent it in 12 pieces. And he said to Jeroboam, take thee 10 pieces, for thus saith the Lord, the God of Israel, behold, I will rend the kingdom out of the hand of Solomon and will give 10 tribes to thee. But he shall have 1 tribe for my servant David's sake, and for Jerusalem's sake, the city which I have chosen out of all the tribes of Israel, because they have forsaken me. And
Why only say 1 tribe?
Okay.
Why only say 1 tribe?
1 tribe instead of 3.
Yep. Judah, yep. That wasn't there. That was a baby not. I ain't gonna lie. That is. Why only say 1 tribe? I'll give y'all this one. It's because Levi is the Lord's portion. Levi is the Lord's portion. There was already Judah, Benjamin, right? The reason why Levi is not mentioned because Levi is the Lord's portion. Go ahead.
Because that they have forsaken me and worshipped Ashtaroth and the goddess of the Zidonians.
Worship who?
Oh, Salat. Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Zidonians, Chemosh, the god of the Moabites, and Milcom, the god of the children of Ammon, and have not walked in my ways to do that which is right in mine eyes, and to keep my statutes and my judgments, as did David his father. Howbeit, I will not take the whole kingdom out of his hand, but I will make him prince all the days of his life for David, my servant's sake.
So the prophet Ahijah met Jeroboam on the way and cut the garment into 12 pieces, gave him 10, and let him know that he's going to be the king of Israel, right? The king of the 10 tribes. Go ahead.
Whom I chose because he kept my commandments and my statutes. But I will take the kingdom out of his son's hand and will give it unto thee, even 10 tribes. And unto his son will I give every 1 tribe. And unto his son will I give 1 tribe, that David my servant may have a light always before me in Jerusalem, the city which I have chosen me to put my name there. And I will take thee, and thou shalt reign according to all that thy soul desireth, and shalt be king over Israel. And it shall be, if thou wilt hearken unto all that I command thee, and will walk in my ways, and do that which is right in my sight, to keep my statutes and my commandments, as David my servant did, that I will be with thee, and build thee a sure house, as I built for David, and will give Israel unto thee. And I will for this afflict the seed of David, but not forever. Solomon sought therefore to kill Jeroboam, and Jeroboam arose and fled into Egypt unto Shishak, king of Egypt, and was in Egypt until the death of Solomon.
I'm curious to why it was split that way.
That's a good question.
You know what I mean?
Huh.
If you read, I believe in Chronicles, First Chronicles, I think. It doesn't say they split, but it shows the two kingdoms taking the side. Ephraim taking the northern, and then Judah taking the southern. Yes, early.
Yeah, I know.
But he's saying like, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you go. I'm just curious on like why it was split like
Like
that.
the Most High is like saying like, why gotta be like that?
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
why these
That's a
two
good question.
in those 10? I wasn't in like 5 and 5. Why,
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Nah, I get that. That's a
You know
good
what I
question.
mean? It's just like
Then you did it That's my safe.
according to the law.
Yeah.
That's my safest guess. According to the lot.
Because Joseph had double portion like that. That's what you mean?
It's a deeper study into it. My safest guess on the surface stuff would be according to the lot. And that created the larger separation between the two, but individually, their portions of what happened to one another was up to the Lord. That's why you have Genesis 49. That would be the basis of what I'm saying. Genesis 49 given insight of the lot. And later on down the years, you have separation of the 10 and 2 or 10 and 2.
My only guess is that Joshua
It is.
Joshua 18:5 says that Judah would have their coast in the south, and Joseph would have their coast in the north. And I agree that is an excellent question. My only question is that Simeon had their lot within the land of Judah,
Right.
but they went with the northern kingdom joining also the house of Joseph. So that is a good question, because Simeon joined the other 10 tribes, and Simeon had their lot in Judah, and it was just Judah and Benjamin, and then Levi joined in 2 Chronicles chapter 11, which was the formation of the southern kingdom being the 3 tribes. But that is a good question. But my only guess is that the northern tribes all predominantly were in the north, except for Simeon, and Judah and Benjamin were in the south.
Thank you, bro.
But I'm looking at it even, and I don't mean to cut you off.
Nah, you good, because I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I see what you're
even
saying.
when you take it further into today now, where it's like you got the so-called blacks and the so-called Hispanics, and it's separated that way.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
Judah and Ephraim.
He's talking about
Yeah,
like how
I think you have the speckled version of that separation. For an example, would literally be Haitians and Dominicans on the same line. And
That's a good.
like that is the only one of the like major examples where you have them two literally existing for the sole purpose of you showing variable and Genesis 49 of their relationship. Like that is the most defining. That's one of the most defining points you can see to where this guy is sitting here. Just lining up this way. Because if they have the relationship like brothers, just as much as I'm sure all of the 12 tribes, or remaining tribes have that relationship, you get the closeness and brotherhood they've had with one another, how it just completely went into the whole one, contrary to what Genesis 49. It's a good question. It opens like a larger discussion.
yeah, that's why I go too crazy, but that's a question I always think about. You know what I'm saying? Why, you know?
Kind of.
Like, what's the difference? Like, oh, why can't you do half and half? Like,
Why?
You
You
know
know
what I'm
what I'm saying? 'Cause I don't know. I get it overall, because we bring it into perspective today.
Mhm.
You know, you know, it makes sense because of the way that we are divided like that.
Yeah.
But it's just like interesting that it was divided that way before we were calling ourselves blacks.
Right.
Right.
You know what
That's
I mean?
true.
Oh.
That's a good point.
Panah.
That's a really good point and good question.
You know what's crazy about that too? It being separated like that, and you have
47.
only what the
21.
Lord sees at this
Huh.
defining peoples under the classification of that's he's definitely from the tribe. He's definitely from the tribe. He's definitely from the tribe.
Right.
Like the Lord created division amongst us just for us to be 95 to about 90% sure of who we are as a tribe until he picks us up and sets us and tells us what we are in that day.
Right.
That's also like we lived and we was like destroyed for a while.
Right.
And our lineages only go but so far without ramifications happening to us, unfortunately.
Right.
And it's hard trying to define one another with giving placement of names of the 12 tribes because not all Israel's of Israel. And in this fine experience that we try to use
That's
to
multiple.
maneuver it, it's only entirely up to the Most High to determine that person from this. But despite you giving them that tribal name and inheritance, Jack is the tribe of this.
Right.
And the strongest assumption we can make is based off characteristics through 49 all the way up until now. So it's a mystery of trying to identify who we are through characteristics, and all we have is a couple of pages.
And the funny thing on top of that too is like then you want to play tribalism, but then you want to play colorism. Like you don't even know what tribe you're from, really.
Right.
You might be thinking like you from Levi, then you Gad. Like, you know, or Judah and you from Ephraim. You know what I mean? Like you gotta relax. You know, just be glad you're from the nation of Israel, because that's something you can sense by the Spirit. That's a
You know what's wild about it too is that because we have these documents as far as in the scriptures with the chronicles and everything, and we were keeping documents of who was who and coming.
That's
from
true.
which tribe.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like it was documents for us. You feel me? So when we came, it was documents.
Yep. And even the stones that the Levites had when they came when a brother came across them, the tribe that they was from, that stone would light up. Yeah. That's crazy.
This must be when we had the year of the throne.
You know that. Let's get a Sirach 47 and 21.
Sirach chapter 47 and verse 21. So the kingdom was divided, and out of Ephraim ruled a rebellious kingdom. But the Lord will never leave off his mercy, neither shall any of his
So
works.
hold on. It says, read that one more time.
Verse 21. So the kingdom was divided, and out of Ephraim.
So this is where we're going. So we understand that Ahijah came across Jeroboam and let him know, look, you are about to inherit the Israel, the 10 tribes. You're going to be king over them. Okay. But I'm going over here to show us what type of king Jeroboam is about to be. So read that one more time. And the funny thing too about all of this too, I want to add to that is all this is happening under the control of who?
Solomon.
All of this is happening. All this, the kingdom being established, the kingdom being split, the captivities. Who's that? Who's controlling all that?
Oh, the Most High.
The Most High. He's the one orchestrating this whole thing. Right? Go ahead. It says, but the Lord will never leave off his mercy. Because yes, they're going to go off. They're going to be sent off, which we're going to get to, into captivity. But he's in control of it all. Right? Go ahead. So the kingdom.
So the kingdom was divided.
Right. So the kingdom is divided because David sat on the throne where he was ruling over the 12 tribes, and so did Solomon. So the kingdom is divided now, right? It's going to be divided between Rehoboam and Jeroboam. Go ahead.
So the kingdom was divided, and out of Ephraim ruled the rebellious kingdom.
Out of Ephraim ruled the what kingdom?
A rebellious kingdom.
Go ahead.
But the Lord will never leave off his mercy, neither shall any of his works perish, neither will he abolish the posterity of his elect.
Neither will he abolish the posterity of his elect. Shows you that he's still in control. Right? He made a promise to who?
David.
Abraham. He made a promise to Abraham, and he never slacked concerning his what? His word. So even though they were going off, he made a way for us to come back through who? Through YHWH. So you got to think about that. He already understood the puzzle, the pieces was already in line. The Most High is in control of it all.
Oh.
He's allowing things to flow according to whose agenda? His agenda, right? Go ahead.
Neither shall any of his works perish, neither will he abolish the posterity of his elect, and the seed of him that loveth him he will not take away. Wherefore he gave a remnant unto Jacob, and out of him a root unto David. Thus rested Solomon with his fathers, and of his seed he left behind him Rehoboam, even the foolishness of the people.
Even so, imagine you looking back on the records, and that's what you're known for. The foolishness of the people. It says Rehoboam, the foolishness of the people. Dang, that's a crazy reputation. Go ahead.
And one that had no understanding.
And one, your father was the wisest man on the planet, and he left the kingdom to you. The foolishness of the people, one that have no understanding. What was it we laughed the other day on feeble mind? No, I'm not. Go ahead.
Who turned away the people through his counsel. There was also Jeroboam the son of Nebat, who caused Israel to sin and showed Ephraim the way of sin.
So why does it say who caused Israel to sin? Why does it say who caused Israel? He's the one who caused Israel to sin. Because when it comes to leadership, when it comes to kings and governments, the Lord takes that extremely seriously. He puts you in charge of his sheep, his flock, his people. And how you make decisions, how you judge, how you teach, how you guide affects the people. How you, with your example, you be an example, all that affects the people. That's why it says he's the one who caused Israel to sin. The Lord puts that on the king that he put to lead these people. All right, go ahead.
And showed Ephraim the way of sin, and their sins were multiplied exceedingly, that they were driven out of the land. For they sought out all wickedness till the vengeance came upon them.
They searched out all wickedness until vengeance came upon them. So now we're going to get what that means, right? So let's start at 1 Kings 12, and we can just jump to verse 3.
1 Kings chapter 12 and verse 3. Then they sent and called him, and Jeroboam and all the congregation of Israel came, and he spake unto Rehoboam, saying, Thy father made our yoke grievous. Now therefore make thou the grievous service of thy father, and his heavy yoke which he put upon us lighter, and we will serve thee. And he said unto them,
talking to Rehoboam. Go ahead.
And he said unto them, Depart yet for 3 days, then come again to me. And the people departed. And King Rehoboam consulted with the old men that stood before Solomon his father while he yet lived, and said.
So remember, even though Solomon stopped listening to the nobles before him, these must be some wise men if they're the ones counseling and advising Solomon himself. So he went to them, right? They say, okay, now that you're you're the king. It was grievous, being under your father. You know what I'm saying? Please, make it lighter for us. He said, come back to me in 3 days. So he went to his father's nobleman. Go ahead.
While he yet lived, and said, how do you advise that I may answer this people? And they spake unto him, saying, if thou wilt be a servant unto this people this day, and will serve them and answer them, and they speak good words to them, then they will be thy servants forever. But he forsook the counsel of the old men.
So if you serve them, right? If you have compassion on them and you make their burden a little lighter, they're gonna be loyal to you for forever, basically. Go ahead.
I wanted to say,
Go ahead.
I feel like one of the reasons why he rejected that is because of how they told him that, and like in his mind, how he may have interpreted that like you're a servant to the people, but he doesn't understand you're supposed to be of service to the people, being a king.
Right.
I feel like the way he must have heard that is what made him turn his ear away. Like, I'm the king, I'm the one on the throne. Why would I make it seem as though I'm supposed to be doing that for the people? Like, because he says in Sirach, he had no understanding. He was foolish.
Like, that's a possibility, But I think they brought a full circle for him, I think, yeah. But still, he had no understanding. He was foolish. Because that's simple to understand. They're basically saying, yo, look, if you scratch their back, they're going to scratch yours. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. But for him, it's like scripture said, he had a reputation for being foolish and no understanding. So he didn't understand how to run a country, how to run a kingdom. And they was trying to teach him, but,
Verse 8. But he forsook the counsel of old men which they had given him, and consulted with the young men that were grown up with him, which stood before him. And he said unto them, what counsel give ye that we may answer this people? He has spoken to me, saying.
So his day ones, man, that he grew up with, who have no idea how to run a kingdom.
No idea.
He's going to them for counsel. That's foolishness within itself.
No experience, no nothing.
No experience about right. Go ahead. They haven't been battle tested. They haven't been through anything, the hardships and the hard judgment calls that it takes to run a kingdom.
No,
they haven't brought any issues that they had to solve.
Right.
Nothing. He could have inquired, okay, what do you mean by if I serve them? They could have went into the duties of a king and stuff like that. Nope. He didn't like what he heard. He went straight to his day ones that he grew up with. Go ahead.
And he said unto them, what counsel give ye that we may answer this people who have spoken to me, saying, make the yoke which thy father did put upon us lighter? And the young men that were grown up with him spake unto him, saying, thus shalt thou speak unto this people that spake unto thee, saying, thy father made our yoke heavy, but thou shalt make it lighter unto us. Thus shalt thou say unto them, my little finger shall be thicker than my father's loins.
He said, my pinky finger is bigger than my father's nuts, basically. That first of all, that sounds like some young boy stuff, man.
It's completely reprehensible.
He said, look, if you thought it was heavy under my father, it's going to be worse for me. That's what they told him to say. Go ahead.
And now, whereas my father did lade you with the heavy yoke, I will add to your yoke. My father had chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions. So Jeroboam and all the people came to Rehoboam the third day, as the king had appointed, saying, come to me again the third day. And the king answered the people roughly, and forsook the old men's counsel that they gave him, and spake to them after the counsel of the young men, saying, my father made your yoke heavy, and I will add to your yoke. My father also chastised you with whips, but I will chastise you with scorpions. Wherefore the king hearkened not unto the people, for the cause was from the Lord, that he might perform his saying, which the Lord spake by Ahijah the Shilonite unto Jeroboam the son of Nebat. So when all Israel saw that the king hearkened not unto them, the people answered the king, saying, what portion have we in David? Neither have we inheritance in the son of Jesse. To your tents, O Israel. Now see to thine own house, David. So Israel departed unto their tents. But as for the children of Israel which dwelt in the cities of Judah, Rehoboam reigned over them. Then King Rehoboam sent Adoram, which was over tribute, and all Israel stoned him.
And remember, this was a tax issue, right? Remember, it said that the northern kingdom, they were very industrious. So they're the reason why Israel was prosperous in the first place. And they're saying, oh, can you just lighten up a little bit? And he said, nah, I'm going to tax you guys even worse than my father taxed you. So they was like, dang, like, we can't catch a break.
Right.
Are we even part of this kingdom? You treating us like slaves. Right? Go ahead.
Then the king sent Adoram, who was over the tribute, and all Israel stoned him with stones that he died. Therefore,
he sent a messenger, and they was tight. So they stoned the messenger. Go ahead.
Therefore,
and usually when you kill the messenger, that's what? An act of what?
War.
There you go. Go ahead.
And all Israel stoned him with stones that he died. Therefore, King Rehoboam made speed to get him up to his chariot to flee to Jerusalem. So Israel rebelled against the house of David unto this day.
Read that again.
So Israel rebelled against the house of David unto this day.
That's the root. This is the root of the matter. Right here. We're still suffering from this. Even being chosen, being woke, being called by YHWH unto the fold. We are still suffering from this as Israelites. And it's really foolishness if you think about it. But on the other side, it's really not foolishness because there's some people who really suffer some real things growing up. Right? I know, like sisters, I know brothers that couldn't be around Ephraimites. You know what I'm saying? That had problems with Ephraimites and vice versa. That's a real thing. But to see it transpire from this time right here all the way up until now, you know the Bible's real.
Yep.
But this is the root of the matter. Because before this, you don't really see any of that. All right. Continue.
Even the prison systems are set.
Right. You have the blacks together. You have the Mexicans together. You have, like, it's divided that way. Because really, if the Mexicans and the blacks came together,
Right.
that's a fact.
Came together too.
But that's their number one plan, man, to keep us divided. It's brilliant. They do it through social media. They do it through TV. They do it through everything we can think of. They do it. It's hard for us to come out of that mindset, but we have to realize that, look, this is where it came from. They've only done things to make it worse. That's where you get the colorism. Then people talking about hair. Like, what? Hair, good hair, bad hair? What is good hair, bad hair? Hair that's not done.
Yeah, that's not being nurtured.
Nurtured, right. But you saying straight hair is better than kinky hair? What? Kinky hair is better than straight hair? That's yo.
Both hairs, but they kept taking
Right. That's true.
Together.
And not one tribe has all. My point is, every tribe has the spectrum of light skin to dark skin. Every tribe has the spectrum of kinky hair to straight hair. So what are we arguing over again? What are we debating over again? And then the tribalism thing to me is funny, but then sometimes it could get out of hand. You know, just like certain stereotypes, it's funny.
and you're true.
Yes, some of them are true. It is true. Certain stereotypes are true. But when it starts getting out of hand, it gets out of hand. But that has to do with maturity and jesting, you know, and also how you take things. If you take things too personal, you know. But all this came because I'm putting the cart before the horse. But if you look at where we went into captivity, right? So the another date for y'all is Rehoboam assumed the throne at about 922 BC, right? At about around that time, right? I'm not going to say this is a definite date, but 922 BC, that's when he took the throne. What happened in 722 BC? Let's see if the chat knows. 722 BC. What happened in 722 BC? It's important dates. Yeah, that's when Israel went into Assyrian captivity. And then what happened 586 BC? That exactly. So that's when the house of Judah went into ancient Babylon captivity. Then who comes on the scene? Our Savior. When our Savior comes on the scene, who's predominantly what kingdom of the two kingdom is predominantly he's in the midst of? He's in the you're right. He's in the midst of Judah. Where's the northern kingdom? They're already spread throughout the four. They're already gone. You have remnants because what did Tobit say? He would still go up to Jerusalem once in a while, right? But for the most part, so then you have in the dark ages, right? In these times, what's happening? We took the beef from this time, and it still was happening in the dark ages. The Vikings, you have the Danites or the Danish people, you have the Scots. It's a bunch of what? Northern tribe versus southern tribe all over again. We took it from from Jerusalem, us being at home, and we took it outside of our house too. And then we didn't just take it there, we took it to Americas too. Across continents.
Wild. It's wild.
Come on. That's what's going on. It stems from this right here. And we just built on it and built on it and built on it. So it's a beautiful thing to see us in the ensign, us coming up together, and we're calling or bidding our brothers and sisters to the marriage on the corners, teaching. That can only happen through the miracle of the Most High. That's the only way it can happen. Because if it's up to us, we're going to keep the grudge for another 1,000 years.
Yeah.
We not coming together. You know how we get down. Israel, we know how Israel, go ahead.
You got a lot of Mexicans and Hispanics literally coming at the PLW movement. Like, where are that for us when we were there for you?
Right. Right.
That's like you said, that's the deep part about it is that, you know, us not coming together and us not even seeing each other as being the same people.
That's
the wild part.
It is wild. It is wild. You could tell, yo, that we got the same spirit by just looking at each other, looking at each other, how we move, how we talk, slang. Go ahead.
I'll say that a lot of us do know, because I'm just talking about from my point of view. So a lot of the Hispanics that I talk to, they know that we're the same. It's just that there's something deeply rooted in us that I don't know. I can't really explain it. That has an evil eye towards us, towards each other. But the ones I do know, like out of the blue, I'm gonna say something. They're like, yeah, we're all black. We're the same people, but there's something deeply rooted that has a disagreement. That makes sense. I think it comes to Esau basically because a lot of the Northern Kingdom do want to be like Esau. They do want to sound like them, act like them. So like they forget about their black roots, their dark roots, I'll say.
Right. And then you have, you know, because you have people like the Haitians, when they freed themselves, right, when they liberated themselves, they went over to Cuba, they went over to Mexico, they went over to Argentina, they went over to help them liberate themselves. And you have tribes who was working with one another. You have slaves who was running to certain Gadite tribes and helping them. But then you have Gadite tribe that's also enslaving Judah, you know. So you have, just like up north you have you know, the Judah and Ephraim are more susceptible to talk to each other than down south. Yeah,
California,
they don't
deal with each other.
at all.
Yeah.
So you have, you know, some of us getting together, but then you still have that real internal beef that we still carry from centuries ago, you know, and there's a reason for it. And the beautiful thing is, the one thing that I love about it is because we are supposed to fight and break the curses and come together and, you know, do our best to reverse the curses, but it doesn't all come together until YHWH comes. That's what I love about it, because the Lord shares his glory with no man. So when he comes back and we're all with him, Lord willing, you're going to see how our Redeemer united us. That is a miracle within itself. There's going to be no camp bashing. There's going to be no murmuring. There's going to be none of that under YHWH. That itself is a miracle, you know. So, you know, it's not how you say that. It's just sad how we still carrying this beef that we had centuries, you know, up until this very day. And it really started with the kingdom being split. And then, like Mahayar saying, Esau definitely played a role on that.
Heavy role.
Because if we're brothers and we stop being close because of an argument we had internally, all he has to do is go and whisper things to me, whisper things to him, and make it worse. And that's gonna drive us further and further apart.
Levi and Simeon being a good example in the early.
That's a strong delusion. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
In the early 1900s, when the U.S. invaded Haiti and the Dominican Republic, they said that American soldiers and troops preferred to kind of be more sovereign over Dominicans because they were of lighter and fairer skin and more easier to, I'll say, modernize compared to Haitians, because Haitians kept fighting and pushing back against American soldiers and the colonialism that Haitians faced by American soldiers compared to the Dominicans. And Esau instigated the beef between the two because Haitians are more darker in complexion and Dominicans come in different shades because there were more Spaniards amongst them that were in the top upper echelons of society compared to the darker skinned ones that they really saw and looked at as no different than darker skinned Haitians and looked at them like criminals. It's funny because the same Jim Crow system that Judah faced over here is the same thing that Simeon went through. And a lot of the darker skinned, browner complexion ones went through the same exact racial system that Judah did over here in the Americas. It's the same history. It's literally just in the island compared to over here in America.
And there's a lot of. Go ahead.
I was at my school, right? And one of the guys, one of my teammates, who I train with,
They can't hear you.
who I train with, right? And I was telling him, yeah, I'm Haitian. He said, no, you Dominican. I said, no, I'm Haitian. He said, y'all shouldn't say nothing. You're in Dominican.
Yo, why you kidding?
He said, he got his tap. He's the one that can get him straight.
Yeah.
They were both sweating. Because I was like, yeah, I'm Haitian. And he was like, yeah, Dominican. I said, oh, I'm Haitian. He said, nigga, you Dominican. Y'all
Right, though. That's a strong delusion, yo.
If he only knew the real truth,
Right.
he'd be spitting some facts.
Right.
The Dominicans, yo, like, I don't know, they only show the light-skinned Dominicans, but there's some, yo,
Dominicans
dark,
than me.
right, dark, darker than,
neighborhood. Then I'll walk around the street and I'll be like, what up, yo? And be like, no English. I'm like, oh shit, I thought you know what I mean?
that's a fact. That's a fact, though. Nah, that's a fact.
Yeah, you got this that and stuff, but he started building. He's a good one at that.
Yeah, if I put a perm kit in my hair, they call me Dominican.
That's real. Probably do.
They call me Dominican.
All right. Guy over here getting called Dominican too when he's a Haitian.
Yeah, I see it. Same niggas.
Oh, where we at? Where we at?
Verse 20.
Go ahead.
1 Kings chapter 12 and verse 20. And it came to pass when all Israel heard that Jeroboam was come home, Salak was come again, that they sent and called him unto the congregation and made him king over all Israel. And there was none that followed the house of David, but the tribe of Judah only.
So he finally assumed the kingdom of the 10 tribes. Right? He became king of Israel. Go ahead. Jump to 25.
Verse 25. And Jeroboam built Shechem and Mount Ephraim, and dwelt therein, and went out from thence and built Penuel. And Jeroboam said in his heart, now shall the kingdom return to the house of David. If this people go up to do sacrifice in the house of the Lord at Jerusalem, then shall the heart of this people turn again unto their Lord.
He conspired in his heart. He didn't want them to go back to Jerusalem, so he built them houses for them to worship and go often. He didn't want them to do the right thing and be back joined to the Lord, so he persuaded them to go off. That's why it says that in Sirach 47 and 23, thus rested Solomon with his fathers and of his seed, and left behind him Rehoboam, even the foolishness of the people, and one that had no understanding, who turned away the people through his counsel. There was also Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, who caused Israel to sin and showed Ephraim the way of sin. Right? So that's what's happening. Go ahead.
If this people go up to do sacrifice in the house of the Lord at Jerusalem, then shall the heart of this people turn again unto their Lord, even unto Rehoboam king of Judah, and they shall kill me and go again to Rehoboam king of Judah. Whereupon the king took counsel and made 2 calves of gold and said unto them, and made 2 calves of gold.
So he's showing them how to sin.
And said unto them, it is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Behold thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And he set the one in Bethel, and the other put he in Dan. And this thing became a sin, for the people went to worship before the one, even unto Dan.
Right.
And he made an
So
house.
he set up two golden calves, and the people, they followed after what he was doing. What?
He said, behold thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt.
Yeah, he said these golden calves is who brought you up out of the land of Egypt. That is wild.
It makes sense because he dwelt in Egypt, but he knew, because he was industrious. But in Exodus 32, Aaron did the same thing. So he knew, and to do that is
that's really diabolical. Nah. That's really diabolical.
He knew it's like
he knew they was gonna that's crazy.
Like you have to think about
that's crazy.
him being industrial, like he's wise because he put one in Ephraim, and Dan is the most northern point of Israel. And so it's like at both points they can worship here and they can worship here, and it's like it's the same cast they made when Moses went up.
Yeah.
It's a genius.
That's devious, yo.
That's a genius.
He is that's diabolical.
No, it's Ephraim.
He's an Ephraimite. Oh shit. Yeah.
Verse 30. And this thing became a sin, for the people went to worship before the one, even unto Dan. And he made an house of high places, and made priests of the lowest of the people, which were not of the sons of Levi.
Not. Saying.
And Jeroboam ordained a feast in the 8th month, on the 15th day of the month, like unto the feast that is in Judah. And he offered upon the altar.
So now, what is he doing? He's making up feast days.
A mock Passover.
Holy days.
Mock Passover. That's wild.
And then Panah, he went into this, a while ago. This is really an alley-oop for that, for whoever want to go into that. But this is the birth of Samaritanism, right? And all that has to do with that. But go ahead.
So did he in Bethel, sacrificing unto the calves that he had made. And he placed in Bethel the priests of the high places which he had made. So he offered upon the altar which he had made in Bethel the 15th day of the 8th month, even in the month which he had devised of his own heart, and ordained a feast unto the children of Israel. And he offered upon the altar and burnt incense.
Okay, let's go to 2 Chronicles 12:1.
Second Chronicles chapter 12 and verse 1. And it came to pass when Rehoboam had established the kingdom and had strengthened himself, he forsook the law of the Lord and all Israel with him. And it came to pass that in the 5th year of the king Rehoboam, Shishak, king of Egypt, came up against Jerusalem because they had transgressed against the Lord, with 1,200 chariots and 70,000 horsemen. And the people were without number that came with him out of Egypt, the Lubims, the Sukkims, and the Ethiopians. And he took the fenced cities which pertained to Judah and came to Jerusalem. Then came Shemaiah the prophet to Rehoboam and to the princes of Judah that were gathered together to Jerusalem because of Shishak, and said unto them, Thus saith the Lord, Ye have forsaken me, and therefore have I also left you in the hand of Shishak. Whereupon the princes of Israel and the king humbled themselves, and they said, The Lord is righteous. And when the Lord saw that they humbled themselves, the word of the Lord came to Shemaiah, saying, They have humbled themselves, therefore I will not destroy them, but I will grant them some deliverance, and my wrath shall not be poured out upon Jerusalem by the hand of Shishak. Nevertheless, they shall be his servants, that they may know my service and the service of the kingdoms of the countries.
Yeah, 1 Kings 14:22. Come on, Shishak. Shishak.
First Kings chapter 14 and verse 22. And Judah did evil on the sight of the Lord, and they provoked him to jealousy.
Judah also did evil in the sight of the Lord, right? Go ahead. This is after who? Jeroboam showed Israel how to go off. Go ahead.
And they provoked him to jealousy with their sins which they had committed above all that their fathers had done. For they had also built them high places and images in groves and on every high hill and under every green tree. And there were also sodomites in the land.
There were also what?
And there were also sodomites in the land.
There was also homosexuals in the land. Go ahead.
And they did according to all the abominations of the nations which the Lord had cast out before the children of Israel.
Right. So you are doing the same things that these heathens were doing that got them cast out the land. When I cleared this place out to be a holy place for y'all, to worship me, and so y'all could prosper, y'all are regressing. Okay, go ahead. I got something for y'all. Go ahead.
And it came to pass in the 5th year of King Rehoboam that Shishak, king of Egypt, came up against Jerusalem. And he took away the treasures of the house of the Lord and the treasures of the king's house. He even took away all the shields of gold which Solomon had made. And King Rehoboam made in their stead brazen shields and committed them unto the hands of the chief of the guard, which kept the door of the king's house. And it was so when the king went into the house of the Lord that the guard bare them and brought them back into the guard chamber.
Right. So Rehoboam caused the Lord to move his hand and set Shishak over there. Instead of him completely obliterating Jerusalem, instead he came over and looted basically the place. Go ahead.
Now the rest of the acts of Rehoboam and all that he did, are they not written in the book of the Chronicles of the kings of Judah?
It made Rehoboam scared. Rehoboam didn't go out to go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And there was war between Rehoboam and Jeroboam all their days.
So read that again.
And there was war between Rehoboam and Jeroboam all their days.
I'm just trying to highlight where this stems from. All right, go ahead.
And Rehoboam slept with his fathers and was buried with his fathers in the city of David. And his mother's name was Naamah the Ammonitess, and Abijam his son reigned in his stead. You going up?
No. Let's get 2 Chronicles 13. So Rehoboam also went off, you see, and the Lord moved. He forced the Lord to move his hand. King Sheshach from Egypt came, and the Lord didn't allow him to fully take over Jerusalem. He said that I'll give you a little deliverance. So he suffered the Lord's wrath a little bit, Rehoboam. Okay. Go ahead. 13:1.
2 Chronicles chapter 13 and verse 1. Now in the 18th year of King Jeroboam began Abijah to reign over Judah. He reigned 3 years in Jerusalem. His mother's name also was Micaiah, the daughter of Uriel of Gibeah. And there was war between Abijah and Jeroboam. And Abijah set the battle in array with an army of valiant men of war, even 400,000 chosen men. Jeroboam also set the battle in array against him with 800,000 chosen men, being mighty men of valor. And Abijah stood up upon Mount Zemarim, which is in Mount Ephraim, and said, Hear me, thou Jeroboam and all Israel. Ought ye not to know that the Lord God...
Abijah is after who? King Abijah is after who? No, he was ruling while Jeroboam was ruling as well. It's after Rehoboam. Go ahead. And then he was going to war with Jeroboam. Yeah, and you know, what ended up happening is Jeroboam had him surrounded, but because Abijah believed on the Most High, he cried out to the Lord, and the Levites sounded the trumpets, and Jeroboam had him surrounded from the front and the back, but the Lord delivered Abijah, and they prevailed that day. We can jump to verse 13.
Verse 13. But Jeroboam caused an ambushment to come about behind them. So they were before Judah, and the ambushment was behind them. And when Judah looked back, behold, the battle was before and behind.
So they were surrounded from the front and the back. Go ahead.
And they cried unto the Lord, and the priest sounded with the trumpets. Then the men of Judah gave a shout, and as the men of Judah shouted, it came to pass that God smote Jeroboam and all Israel before Abijah and Judah. And the children of Israel fled before Judah, and God delivered them into their hand. And Abijah and his people slew them with a great slaughter, so there fell down slain of Israel 500,000 chosen men.
That's a lot of people. Go ahead.
Thus the children of Israel were brought under at that time, and the children of Judah prevailed, because they relied upon the Lord God of their fathers. And Abijah pursued after Jeroboam and took cities from him, Bethel with the towns thereof, and Jeshanah with the towns thereof, and Ephraim with the towns thereof. Neither did Jeroboam recover strength again in the days of Abijah, and the Lord struck him, and he died. And Abijah waxed mighty and married 14 wives, and begat 22 sons and 16 daughters. And the rest of the acts of Abijah and his ways and his sayings are written in the story of the prophet Iddo.
And let's go back to 1 Kings 14 and 10.
First Kings chapter 14 and verse 10.
So you see what was going on with Jeroboam. He wasn't prosperous. Okay, he wasn't prosperous. He fought against Abijah. He lost. Go ahead.
1 Kings chapter 14 and verse 10. Therefore, behold, I will bring evil upon the house of Jeroboam, and will cut off from Jeroboam him that pisseth against the wall, and him that is shut up and left in Israel, and will take away the remnant of the house of Jeroboam, as a man taketh away dung, till it be all gone. Him that dieth of Jeroboam in the city shall the dogs eat, and him that dieth in the field shall the fowls of the air eat, for the Lord hath spoken it.
That was the prophets. That was the fate of Jeroboam prophesied by the Most High. Mhm. Let's jump down to 15.
Verse 15. For the Lord shall smite Israel as a reed is shaken in the water, and he shall root up Israel.
So, okay, real quick. So we see what happened from David to Solomon, from Solomon to Rehoboam, and the kingdom being split because of Solomon, and Jeroboam being king over the 10 tribes of Israel, and him leading Israel to do wickedness. Then Rehoboam followed, right? Abijah assuming the throne after Rehoboam, going to war with Jeroboam, Jeroboam losing. Okay, the fate of Jeroboam. And this right here is a future prophecy. Go ahead.
For the Lord shall smite Israel as a reed is shaken in the water, and he shall root up Israel out of this good land.
Out of what good land?
This is Israel.
Right. Go ahead.
Out of the land of their fathers, and shall scatter them beyond the river.
Beyond the river. That river is Euphrates. Go ahead.
Because they had made their groves, provoking the Lord to anger.
Right. So this prophecy was fulfilled. I'll give y'all the precept. Right. Well, actually, let me ask y'all, when was that prophecy fulfilled? I've already touched on it during this lesson. When was this fulfilled? When they went into Assyrian captivity, right? 722 BC. They went beyond the river what? Euphrates, right? After they fled captivity, the Lord for a year and some change brought them over into the where? The Americas, right?
Oh.
And we all know the precept. That's Second Ezra 13. 13 could go 39, but 40 to 45. Okay. Let's get Isaiah real fast. Isaiah. So is that all clear?
Okay.
Is everything that we went through clear? On the chat. If everything's clear, just put a con. And then you have King Omri, right? Who even further did way more wickedness than Jeroboam. And then you have King Ahab, who was really of the governance of his woman, right? Doing even more wickedness. And so, just so you know, those who don't know this, right? Because we could even go into more detail, more history, more precepts, but you have, after the kingdom split and all these kings is assuming the throne, right? It says when King Omri got the throne, he had great militant might, right? But what he did was way worse than Jeroboam could ever do. And then you have Ahab, who I'm like, dang, how far could you go down that rabbit hole? Like after you complete a certain amount of wickedness, you can get even more wicked. Yo, but they was doing it. So, hey, and so then you have when they went into captivity, 722 Assyrian captivity, and then 100 year, well, about it's like 150 years later, something like that. Judah went into ancient Babylonian captivity. And by this time, what kings normally tend to do, because Nebuchadnezzar and Salmanassar did the same thing. They took the noble of the house of Judah and the of Israel, the 10 tribes, and they basically took them for themselves. Right? Yeah, I get what I mean by that?
Okay.
Like to use them in their kingdom.
Yeah.
How they did Daniel.
Yeah, yep. Exactly. To use them in their kingdom, just exactly like how they did Daniel. Like cons upon, you know, and so that's what they tend to do, you know, and so then our Lord and Savior comes on the scene, right? Our Redeemer, and says, this is a multifold thing, right? But he says, think not that I have come, but I am come unto the what? The lost sheep of the house of Israel. Now we could spin that, you know, a couple of different ways. But at the time, he was already teaching the gospel to the southern tribe, right? And at this time, who did Peter had a beef with? He had a beef with Paul, but not. Who was Paul teaching?
The Gentiles.
There you go. And who were called the Gentiles and the no nation?
Israel.
The 10 tribe of Israel. So if we can see what's going on, that's why it's a miracle. We could see us coming together now, standing on the street corners, holding camp, getting together, coming together. That's of the Lord's doing. That's of the Lord's spirit. But the Lord will finish it in that day. We shouldn't be allowing all these things to come between us when we understand the origin of where it came from and where it started from in the first place. Right? We should start to change our mindset. Just because you have a certain mindset doesn't mean it has to stay that way. You know, you could choose to be a procrastinator your whole life, or you could get up and do something. You know, you could choose to be mean your whole life, or you could get up and do something. Angry your whole life, and get up and do something. Get up and change your perspective on how you see things. Right? That's part of this walk. That's part of, it's not just trauma. It's your outlook on everything that's wrong and that stems from internally. Doesn't necessarily mean that's trauma. Not every single thing is trauma to begin with. You could just have a messed up perspective on how, and an outlook on how you see things. You know, so understanding the origin, understanding the history behind that should, like, you know, consciously allow us to begin to start see things in a new light. You know what I'm saying? I remember a long time somebody said to me, when the more you understand something, the more patience you can give that thing. You know, you won't be as judgmental. You won't be as impulsive. You won't be, you know, it won't be as frustrating. But the more you understand something, you could be a little bit more patient to that. So it's the same thing, like understanding where something, you can have more compassion on that, you know, on people who still suffer from that mindset, but at the same time, with people, with people who are coming out of that mindset. That's what I meant to say. You know, so
Power you get doing that.
Right.
You're not understanding.
Okay. So we're gonna get Isaiah 11. Gonna be the last piece. Isaiah 11 and 12.
Isaiah chapter 11 and verse 12. He shall set up an ensign for the nations, and shall assemble the outcasts of Israel, and gather together the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth. Verse 13.
Yep, verse 13 too.
The envy also of Ephraim shall depart, and the adversaries of Judah shall be cut off. Ephraim shall not envy Judah,
Right.
and Judah shall not vex Ephraim.
Because that was the beef. We seen how this started in the beginning.
Yep.
And we see how it's transpiring now. It's up to us to continue to put an end to that and to come together. But not just come together to save face, right? It starts in your mind. You could be with your brothers and sisters and be scowling in your mind. Could be talking trash in your mind. When brothers and sisters just trying to be there and have a good time with you in the spirit of the Lord, yo. But you're sitting here thinking negative thoughts, being presumptuous. Like they're not thinking nothing of you. That's you. Relax. You know, so that's all I got for y'all today, man. Hopefully it was edifying, man. You know what I'm saying?
More history brought up.
I mean, I don't know if anybody has any questions on the kingdom being split. So if y'all want to go over it again in more detail with more history, we can do that on another date. Just text me or put it in the group chat and we could go over it and speak about it. But this lesson, or rather yet, that doesn't have to be my lesson, but the information and the understanding brought out is extremely foundational. Kawan has put a question in the chat. It brushed along with that. You know what I'm saying? Because the history, all these sequences line up is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
So if you understand these things and certain dates and where we was at certain times, and then when the Amalekites came, the fact that you have a foundation, you'll be able to fill in certain things easily as you go. So, you know, that's all I have. Rock, if you want to take this out.
I madum upon your makwadum. This is Psalm chapter 119. This is Bayath. Wherewithal shall a young man cleanse his way? By taking heed thereto according to thy word. With my whole heart have I sought thee, O let me not wander from thy commandments. Thy word have I hid in mine heart, that I might not sin against thee. Blessed art thou, O Lord, teach me thy statutes. With my lips have I declared all the judgments of thy mouth. I have rejoiced in the way of thy testimonies as much as in all riches. I will meditate in thy precepts and have respect unto thy ways. I will delight myself in thy statutes. I will not forget thy word. In the name of Yahweh, Bahasham, YHWH, the Wada, Tamyad, Aman.
Abad Shabbat. Abad Barak. Yahweh.
Yahweh Shem Yahweh Shai Barak Thumb.